Hi, my name is Claudia, and I'm here with the development team of AppCoins and AppToid, as we are preparing to launch our ICO tomorrow, December 13th, 5 p.m. UTC. So introducing Annalada to my left, she's the head of Android development. Diogo Pires is our big data engineer and co-author of the white paper. Also with us is Fred and Marcelo, both Android developers and AppCoins contributors. We are here today to discuss the AppCoins technical details and protocol implementation roadmap, and you're free to ask any question you have in mind, building up to the ICO tomorrow. So this is your opportunity to ask any question for the dev team. And we're going to start on Telegram. We have a question from MC Cross. And the question is, how secure is AppCoins protocol and the blockchain? Not sure.
So maybe I can have a take on this one. So the blockchain protocol itself, it's secure in terms of its transparency regarding what happens and what is saved there. So everything that happens through the blockchain is stored forever. It's publicly verifiable by anyone. And it's very hard at this point for a single player or even a group of players to change the past history of a blockchain. Regarding the AppCoins protocol itself, so the AppCoins protocol will rely on the Ethereum blockchain. So, and the Ethereum blockchain again has the same principles that I've mentioned, and by extension, the AppCoins protocol will have them also.
Thank you. So we have another question here. How can I check if developers and their apps are trustable?
Maybe I can also answer this one. So this is one of the main use cases of AppCoins protocol. It's the reputation system, and the reputation system has two phases or two steps. One is the past history of transactions that occur within all the apps from app stores that integrate the AppCoins protocol. And the second relies on information that our users give us. Our users can tell us with some restrictions which are the apps that are not good because they have malware, because they have too much intrusive adware. And with this information that we get, we can compute a rank, a reputation rank for the apps, and then by extension to the developer of the apps. And the protocol will output this rank, and then the app stores that integrate the protocol can show, for example, a badge stating that the app is trusted or not.
Thank you. We have a question here from Ines. She asks, what happens after purchasing in-app items? How does the app interact with the blockchain? Is it through an API, or is it directly writing to the ledger? How does it work exactly?
I can answer that. Hello. Well, currently we use a third-party library, a third-party API, which is Etterscan, to send the transaction to the network. We sign it and create it locally, and then we use this API just to broadcast it. Also, it can be broadcasted to the network. We can do it ourselves, but it wouldn't have much interest right now, although it's an option for the future.
Thank you. We actually did a proof of concept recently. Do you guys want to talk about it a little bit before another question comes up?
Yeah, we can. Hello. We have a proof of concept, MVP. Currently, it's focusing on the in-app purchase flow, and it uses, as Fred said, the Ethereum Scan API, and the payments are done in the blockchain. One of the problems that we saw was that the time for the confirmation of the payment was a little bit long. It was like less than a minute, and currently we are working on that in order to try to improve this time. And you can check out our sample if you access our GitHub, AppToid GitHub.
Thanks, Anna. We have a question here from Zurkam, and it's about Raiden. How does Raiden secure scale?
Well, Raiden promises to allow us to make instant transactions, off-chain instant transactions. It's not deployed yet. It's under development phase. We are now researching micro-Raiden as an alternative, which is a simpler implementation of the Raiden, which is already deployed in a main network. And we hope we can fix our scalability issues, which are the blockchain's scalability issues recurring to them.
Perfect. So it means that we also need the blockchain to update itself, right?
We always need the blockchain. Raiden is only an off-chain scaling solution, which will allow us to keep, let's say, the payments off the chain for as long as we can. So we can not spend so much in transaction fees.
Makes sense. From Genlo, also on Telegram, what do you think can be done to mitigate the risk of fraud in AppCoins?
So maybe I can have a take on that also. In these systems or in the AppCoins protocol, all of the use cases, the mobile advertising, the in-app purchases, and the reputation system, and generally in blockchain related projects, there is always a risk of fraud. It's the responsibility of the companies and people that are building the protocols to ensure this risk is mitigated. The AppCoins protocol, we've identified several different risks. For example, people having multiple accounts, even app stores that can also incur in fraud situations, fraudulent situations, and also developers trying to buy or change their reputation. So we try to track users in terms of not identifying, because that's out of the question for the protocol, but trying to identify patterns, identifying the users to avoid having situations like this, Sybil attacks, people with too many accounts. We try to avoid it. And also generally in the protocol, we try to build incentives that are to have honest players, and these incentives will be much higher than what dishonest players would gain from dishonest situations. If they commit fraud, yeah.
Thank you, Diogo. From Barbara Ferdinand, we have a question. How long will it take to have AppCoins on AppToy or any other app store?
So our roadmap is planning that we will have AppCoins in AppToy in the second quarter of 2018. That's the roadmap, and we are working hard to achieve this goal.
Thank you. So it's still a few months to go, but we're working on this.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me see. We have a lot of questions coming on Twitter and YouTube as well. So I'm just going to select one of them. As a developer, what makes AppCoins a better solution compared to other advertising model to promote my app?
Maybe I can try to have a take on that also. So the AppCoins protocol, in terms of the advertising use case, the mobile advertising use case, we identified what were the problems with the current models that exist and tried to use blockchain concepts to mitigate them or to, in our opinion, solve them completely. So in terms of all the intermediaries that we have in the advertising models today, in the protocol eliminates all of them. The players that exist in the protocol are the publisher, the developer of the app that wants to advertise its app, the app stores, and the users. And also, we propose a solution where the user's attention are rewarded. So if a user uses an app or several apps, the user will be rewarded based on the attention that that he gives to the apps. And this is, in our opinion, is a major advantage over other solutions that exist today.
Thank you. We have a few more questions. Sorry. Let me see if I can find it. You mentioned that the protocol ensures that the users give 2 minutes of attention to apps being advertised by the implementation of a proof of attention. Why 2 minutes?
2 minutes. It's a tricky question, and it's related to the behavior of the user. So we are lucky to have people with know-how of that in Aptoid. And together with the AppCoins team, we've conducted an internal research, in which we decided to go for 2 minutes. 2 minutes is enough time for a user. The research concluded that it's enough time for a user to evaluate an application and engage with the application. If the user spends 2 minutes with an application, it means that the user is engaged with that. Of course, this is our first take on that. We will, after we deploy the solution, the protocol is live, we are going to gather information about it and maybe change and adjust this time. And of course, we are open to hear from our community in order to evaluate if this is the right time or not.
Perfect, thank you. On the MVP, you talk about signing a transaction. What does it mean exactly?
Well, signing is the method that allows you that grants you that the guy who signed it, it's the guy who says that signed it. Only the guy who has the private key has the ability to sign the transaction, or at least that's what mathematicians tells us, and we believe it. So signing is basically that, assuring that the transaction is sent by the legitimate owner of the transaction, that it's not tampered.
Let me add just something. So, and also if the transaction is changed, you will know if it was changed. So it also helps on that. If someone, by some reason, try to change the transaction, you will know it.
Thank you both. On YouTube, we're also getting a few questions. One of them is, hi guys, as a developer, what makes AppCoins a better solution compared to other advertising model to promote my app?
So I think we already answered at least a similar question. So to not take the same amount of time, we eliminate the intermediaries, so there's less money spent in a lot of parties. So there's more value to the whole model. We only have the developers, the app stores, and the users. And then we also propose a solution where we reward users based on the attention that they give to apps.
Thank you. It must have been my confusion. So Baptiste on Telegram is asking, how long does it take to confirm the in-app transaction? I think this has to do with the proof of concept we did a few weeks ago. So okay.
I can try to answer. So in the MVP that we have done in the past, the payment takes less than a minute. And because we consider that this is too long, we have been investigating and looking for other solutions in order to decrease this amount of time. We have been looking at Raiden solutions and micro Raiden solutions, and Fred already talked about those kind of solutions. So in the next weeks, we have been working in a second sample that uses micro Raiden in the in-app purchase items flow. We are currently working on that, and we will have another sample with this kind of approach soon. Right.
Thank you. Barbara says, thanks for clarifying one of the previous questions. My second question is, does Aptoid work as a wallet in the proof of concept?
Well, Not exactly. We are actually sending transactions and sending money from one wallet to another. Actually, that's more than just one because of the split protocol. But it only does that. Although we plan in the future to allow the users to have a full feature wallet in AppToid client, so they can share their tokens, send, receive, do whatever they want with it, with our wallet, with our app, or with any other wallet. They will have their private key protected with a password, of course, and that's basically it. They will have full power over their private keys, period.
Awesome. Would you like to add something, Anna?
Maybe it was not clear enough, but the private keys are stored locally, and AppToid will not have access to them. At least that's what we plan for the future. We may, of course, we will think in backup solutions, so users can have a second chance to recover their wallets. Because if you take this approach with a private key stored in the cell phone, which is we have in the proof of concept, if you lose your key, if you delete it for whatever reason, there's no way to recover it. So we believe we should think in backup options that would grant the user's safety and that only he has access to the private key, but allow us to somehow give him an option to recover it. We need to think better about this.
Makes sense. Anna, would you like to add something? Awesome. Another question from Jen Lowe. Talking about Raiden and micro Raiden, what is the difference?
Well, Raiden, as I said before, is not yet deployed. So Raiden is not just an idea, but it's a work in progress. Micro Raiden, on the other hand, is already there, and it's a simpler approach to the off-chain scaling solution. Raiden allows us to have bidirectional channels, reuse the channels, and have routing to solve a lot of problems. Micro Raiden, on the other hand, only allows us to have one unidirectional channels, one-to-many, but unidirectional channels, which for our proof of concept is more than enough. We are happy with that, but for the future, we plan probably to use Raiden as a real scaling solution for the blockchain. Micro Raiden is just an intermediary. Pass.
Yeah, all good. From YouTube, we have a question. Hello, what is the App Store Foundation's ASF? And since when AppCoins is going to be governed by the ASF? Does anyone like to answer that?
Maybe. The foundation is it's the foundation where we currently the AppCoins protocol is being developed by AppToid, but in the roadmap we have that in a year time we will have a foundation that will oversee the protocol development and the interaction with all the app stores that want to integrate the protocol with developers and so on. Our plan is to have the foundation already fully working within a year. So I think that answers the question.
Yes, thank you. We also have another question on YouTube. I noticed you did a proof of concept of the protocol using AppToid. If I want to try out the MVP that you show in the video, how do I do it? Is it possible?
So the MVP is available, so you just need to go to GitHub, to AppToid GitHub, and there you will find two repositories. One with the AppCoins SDK. It's called AppCoins Ethereum J. And then you will find a second repository, which is called AppCoins Proof of Concept. And this second repository, it's a fork of the AppToid source code. With the integration of the AppCoins SDK. So if you go to the AppToid GitHub, you will find there the two repositories, and you can run the MVP that we already provided.
Just let me, please.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, right now, I believe you don't need to go to Ethereum J repo. You can just stick to the AppToid's fork, because we published an internal lib and it's in the repo. So I believe you can build it out of the box only with that repo, although you can go to the Ethereum J to see the implementation of the lib.
Thank you. So anyone who would like to try out the MVP, are free to do so. Just
Yeah,
visit
fairly
our
easy.
GitHub.
Fairly easy
We
right
can
now.
also share the link to the GitHub on Telegram so that you can all check it yourselves. We have another question from Baptiste on Telegram. He's asking, how can you ensure that you'll still be able to track the proof of attention if the Android API changes? For instance, if it no longer allows you to gather information about a bound process.
So we also have available on GitHub sample that we did to research the available Android APIs in order to create a proof of attention. And on this sample, the APIs that we've discovered and that were available in order to provide it were core APIs of Android. When we talk about the proof of attention or how much time a user spends paying attention to an application, we are talking about the life cycle of a process and also a way of the App Store to evaluate whether this process or these applications is in fact being used by an user. So we are talking about the core APIs that Android uses when you develop an app. Those APIs are not supposed to change a lot. It's not supposed to have breaking changes. Of course that Android is changing. For example, the latest versions of Android are restricting more and more the ability of applications to run in the background. So in order to overcome that, we've decided to go for a strategy of binding the App Store that wants to evaluate the proof of attention and the app that's being used by the user. You see that although those restrictions are new, we use the core foundation APIs of inter-process communication. You can check that in our sample in order to overcome this issue. So since we are confident that it won't change, if they change and we have some of those APIs are only available in certain versions of Android, and new ones were created afterwards. So we had to deal with that, with this fragmentation that's common in Android. But we were always, it was always possible for us to overcome that because we are talking about a normal, the foundation of Android, so it will be always possible for us to check the state of processes. And we're confident we'll be able to work around any problems that come with newer versions of Android.
Thanks, Marcelo, for answering that. We have Timothy on YouTube. Can you tell me more about the advertising side of things? I assume it's about the mobile advertising use case, so maybe.
Yeah, since I've already answered the other questions about this use case. So the question was to speak a bit more about it, right? So the mobile advertising, again, we redefined the existing models that exist today. We have a lot of different parties that have several different roles. Most of them don't actually generate a lot of value, but drain a lot of resources from the model, and we eliminated all of those. In the end, we have, again, developers, app stores, and users. And one of the key additions to the protocol is that we reward users for their intention. So users give attention to apps, use them, games, productivity apps, whatever. They use them and they are rewarded by that. So developers can create campaigns, and in the campaigns they can set several different filters, like users that have certain other apps, users that are from specific countries, and things like that. Also the amount of app coins that they want to spend during the campaign, the duration of the campaign, and how much they want to give per attribution or per conversions that we have, that the campaign has. And then the users, with also the proof of attention, that's a cryptographic proof, when they actually give attention, the proof of attention algorithm kicks in, and when there's a conversion, the protocol rewards the user for the attention, also redistributes the amount of AppCoins per conversion by the user, the App Store, and the OEM. Maybe I don't know if I have anything to add.
Thank you, Diogo. This all actually follows your video about the
Yes.
mobile advertising and your article on the AppCoins Medium blog. So if you have any questions or would like to know more about the mobile advertising use case, you can also visit our other video where Diogo is hosting and explaining a bit more about the use case, or visit our Medium blog where there's a very detailed article about this.
Or even read the white paper.
Yes, or read the white paper, that's also useful. So we have another one here. On the MVP, you only showed the in-app purchase use case. How about mobile advertising? Will there be an interface to run campaigns as well? And this is a great one following your answer on the mobile advertising. So would you like to? Okay.
So we have the MVP available, as I said, in AppCoins GitHub. Right now we are working on the second version using the Raiden solution that will be available soon. So till now our focus, the focus of the both samples, it was in-app purchase. But after, our focus will be in the advertising flow. So it will soon, there will be a sample thinking about the advertising flow. But right now, we will need to finish this sample first.
Thank you. I noticed that during your MVP, it took quite a while to load. Will this happen when the protocol is live?
Sorry. No, we are trying, as we said before, and Fred has been talking about Raiden and Raiden solutions. So in order to decrease this amount of time, the amount of time that we spend in the blockchain, Ethereum blockchain, to confirm the transaction, we are thinking about using Raiden solution or Raiden solution. So the next sample that I just talked about it, we will have better payment times. You just need to check the GitHub soon.
Sorry.
Thank you. We have a question from Abraham Corbin. Is your protocol Turing complete?
Maybe I can answer. As I've said, the AppCoins protocol will rely on the Ethereum blockchain. The Ethereum blockchain and the language that it defines to write the smart contracts, both the language and the virtual machine where it runs, the EVM, they are Turing complete. So since we rely on Ethereum and what they provide, our protocol will also be Turing complete.
So following that question, we have another one. What programming languages will the protocol support? I think it's also somehow. So
again, everything that the protocol will do, even when the transactions occur off-chain, user using Raiden or any other solution, they even using Raiden, they will be eventually in the blockchain. So everything the protocol does will be in the blockchain that can be verifiable by anyone. The protocol itself, and the protocol can be integrated by any app store, but the protocol itself, the integration, is agnostic from any programming languages. So if one can look and analyze the blockchain with any language, you can integrate the protocol. So it's agnostic. You can use any language for that.
Thank you. We have a question here regarding the ICO tomorrow. And maybe you can try to answer this one. What are you doing to ensure the site servers remain stable tomorrow? So people are assuming there will be a lot of people trying to participate in the sale. Do you have any feedback on this, or would you like to add something?
Okay, maybe I can answer. So we expect and we are expecting a lot of traffic and a lot of people interested in the protocol, because we believe a lot in the protocol and the value that it offers. And as I said, it is being developed at the moment by Aptoid, but Aptoid is already a very large company in terms of users and in terms of traffic. So we have more than 200 million users. So we already have quite an experience in scaling big systems. So I believe and measures have been taken. I believe there will be no problem regarding the huge traffic that we expect for tomorrow.
Awesome. On the reputation system use case, is there any cryptographic mechanism to ensure that users don't buy their reputation?
Maybe I can answer also this one, sorry. Yeah, so the reputation, as I've said, the reputation use case has two steps. One is automatic. It's based on the past history of transactions in the apps, transactions coming from mobile, from advertising and from in-app purchases, and also from information that we gather from the community, and the community will be asked to give this information about apps. The part of the community that will be asked for this, so for each app that we want to gather information about, we will select a group of the community, and only the users in that part of the community will be able to give us information about that specific app. So it will be quite hard, not to mention very, very hard and very costly for developers and companies to buy their reputation, so to manipulate the system, because they will have to go through a big length to actually have a lot of accounts, and they will have to overcome the protocol's definitions regarding this risk. Then they have to spend a lot of money and hope that the protocol won't be able to catch them, which will be quite hard with the systems that we have in the white paper. So I believe it will be very, very hard for developers or even big companies to buy their reputation and to change the reputation level.
Thank you. One last question from Baptiste. So he says, will it be less fraudulent than other current conversion tracking systems? How so?
Do you want to answer?
No.
I believe since when you have a lot of players in the network, for example, in mobile advertising models that we have today, when you have a lot of players, there's always an increased risk of fraud. We have a lot of fragmentation, and it's difficult to track what each party is doing and it's doing to increase value for everyone else. Since we eliminate everyone, apart from the developers that are trying to advertise their apps, and the app stores that distribute the apps, and the users that actually use the apps, it's very easy to track the users that gave attention to apps, and then to provide and to reward both users. Okay, thanks, Anna. Reward both users and then the app stores and the OEMs. Again, with the proof of attention algorithm, developers will can be certain that users actually use their app. So, yeah.
Thank you. You mentioned Raiden in your white paper, and you distinguish between on-chain and off-chain. What's the difference?
I can try to answer that. Well, it's essentially when you have the transactions on-chain. What is on-chain cannot be changed. What is off-chain can be changed. What Raiden does is prevent that from happening. They assure us that the off-chain state of the open channel will not change. So you don't have the tokens yourself, but you have something that grants you can take them whenever you want in a limited window time. So that's basically it. Off-chain, the advantage is sparing transaction fees. So you don't need to pay transaction fees. You are making everything off-chain, and time, of course, it's instant. but you will need eventually to go to the blockchain and settle that that transaction. Okay, the state, you need to settle it in order to make it appear in the blockchain. So that's basically the main difference. It's trying to avoid the limitations which are real in the blockchain. It doesn't scale, and it's supposed not to scale that much. You're not supposed to have instant payments in the blockchain, at least in my opinion.
Do you want to develop that opinion?
No, they are already doing it. It's just different strategies to solve the problem.
Okay, okay. From another community member, how will AppCoins help indie developers trying to cut through the noise? Do you want to answer this one? Anyone?
Okay. So, well, you have the mobile advertising use case where users can advertise, and then it will depend on the app stores that are integrating the protocol if how they choose which apps will appear or will have a bigger stage, like let's say it like that, a bigger stage in the user interface. The protocol itself it's not something that we try to solve with the protocol. It's not the cutting through all the noise. The protocol wants to give more information, better information, more reliable information about some problems that we have now, but then using that information will fall in the responsibility of the app stores that are integrating the protocol. I don't know if anyone wants to add something. Transparency is the key, exactly.
We are getting a lot of questions, and it's quite difficult to select them, but one of them is regarding the roadmap. Let me just get it. What's your roadmap at the moment, and what are the main challenges you've faced so far? So I know that we're going to have a big milestone tomorrow with the ICO, but what is it exactly that you guys, the dev team, is working on at the moment, and what are the biggest challenges you've faced so far?
So at the moment, we are trying to deliver the second sample using Raiden to purchase items using AppCoins and using the AppCoins store. We plan to deliver that in a near future, and we will deliver that, as I mentioned before, in the AppCoins GitHub. Then, after that, we will focus on the advertising flow, and we will try to deliver a sample, but focusing on the advertising flow. That's the main milestones that we have right now. But
maybe I can also add that in the reputation use case, the definition of the protocol is also, we are also taking giving it a lot of attention, because the reputation systems is it's a subject that is very hard to solve and very hard to implement, because reputation is very subjective, and it really depends on the domain you are working on, and here it's in the mobile space. But we are working hard to make sure that the protocol will avoid any or almost all the fraud risks that exist today, and yeah, we are taking giving it a lot of attention.
Can I just add something that I just remember? Thinking more in the future, then there's the other big milestone, which is for the second quarter of 2018. We should have AppCoins working in AppCoins and any other app store that would like to implement our AppCoins. So that's another big milestone.
So just to clarify, the goal is to launch this first on AppCoins, correct? And then spread out to other app stores. So AppCoins will be, since it's our mother company, it will be a way to also test the protocol and make sure everything runs smoothly. More importantly,
that's the concept.
Of course.
Because I believe the concept is the biggest challenge that we will have. to convince people, to convince our users to use it.
Yes, definitely makes sense. So we're getting to the end of this Q&A. Would you like to add something about what you're doing individually towards on-chain, off-chain? You decide. Would you like to start, Fred?
Fine, I mean, no, I've already said everything, I believe. Honestly.
Marcelo, would you like to add something?
I think it's really rewarding as a developer because we are working with bleeding edge technology. So every day is a new challenge, and we know that there are other companies that are working as well in this new space, and we depend on each other. Like we are exploring these new technologies, and as a developer, it's really nice to be working with that. And of course, it's a challenge every day, but it's also learning every day, and this is really exciting. It's exciting to be here and to be working on that.
I agree on that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe I can also add that working on this kind of project, on this type of project, so using blockchain technology, there's a lot of people interested on that at the moment, and it's very good and gratifying for I think for all of us to work on something where there's a lot of community feedback. There's a very strong community on the crypto space, and there are really users that believe in this for the long run, and that help us to build the protocol the best way possible, so that it's also a very important project for the future. Yeah.
I think I just can add that check out our GitHub, and we will have news in the near future. So, and I think the rest of you will said it. So.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to be working on this project, as you might have seen. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears sometimes, and some days it's quite challenging. But we're in it for the long run, and we're very excited with our growing community of interested people. People are very interested in the protocol. They see that this is actually something that can be useful for the future, and being part of this is quite rewarding. And I would like to thank you, all of you, for being here today and for taking some of your time off from developing and working on numbers and stuff, whatever you do, and to be here today. So thank you so much. And tomorrow we'll have our ICO sale. Make sure you join in. We'll have a 20% bonus for the first investors in the first 7 days, or until we reach the 30% of tokens sold. So be sure to be there on time at 5 p.m. UTC, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for more.